It's good place. It's on the other side. Of course. This you know, it's not good sleep, so but this not not just
That's not good.
No, it's not good. Last night was good. Yeah.
Okay. So, hi, Wayne. So we had just started yesterday a new set of halacha. We're talking about the laws of lending people money, which we have seen before in other forms. There we go. And so here we are. There is a positive commandment to lend someone money. A mitzvah nimnes b'minyan ha-mitzvos bein ha'asim. It is counted among the positive commandments. Some add the mitzvah, your brother shall live with you. Some enumerate the mitzvah from the pasuk ha'avei ta'avitenu, which basically, and that's what the words give him an item as a loan, and an avot is a collateral item. So that's what the verb ha'avet means. Collateralize him or give him money based on his collateral. Ve'ein mevarchim al mitzvahs halva'a kederech shemevarchim al shar mitzvah shover lasiyasan lefi she'ein tlu yakulu biyad ha'osa. So we learned this yesterday. You don't make a bracha on this mitzvah because it's dependent upon others' acceptance of your money, because maybe he won't want it. Okay, now, Yesh min harishanim shekasav shahanimna milahalvos la'ani over bishnei lavin. Some say that if a person neglects to loan poor people money, he violates two negative commandments. Shenemar. So what are the two negative commandments? Hishamer lecha pen yihiyeh davar im levavacha v'liya'al lemor. Be careful, says the Torah, lest there be something which is rebellious in your heart to say, Karava Shanasa Sheva Shanasa Shemitah, that the Shemitah year is coming. Now, why is Shemitah associated with loans? Because what happens? Loans are forgiven at the end of a Shemitah year. And therefore your eye will be bad or will be miserly against your poor brother, and you won't give him money as a result, because you're saying to yourself, if the Shemitah year is approaching, I may never see that money again. V'hishamer upen heim beis lavin. And notice the language of the pasuk. Hishamer lecha pen yihiyeh. Anytime you see the word hishamer or pen, it's another mitzvah lo saseh. So here it says hishamer and pen. So that teaches us that there's two negative commandments. V'im le'es asher karavashanas hasheva huzharnu shelo nachdol milahalvos miyiros devar hashmita. And if we are commanded to be careful not to refrain from lending when the Shemitah year is approaching, kol shekain bisman shelo yafsid chavos, then certainly it's true that you may not refrain when the Shemitah year is not approaching. So that's how we understand that there is a negative commandment, potentially two negative commandments, when a person refrains from lending money to the poor. Kasav hachafetz chaim besifro avas chesed, demisha osek b'torah ubalo yadu mitzvahs halva, that Chafetz Chaim writes, because he wrote a whole sefer called the Avas Chesed on the mitzvah of lending people money and doing acts of kindness and giving us the parameters of how we loan people money and how we give charity and so forth. He writes that if a person is engaged in the mitzvah, is engaged in Torah study, and then he has an opportunity to lend someone money, and he's not able to send someone else to perform the loan. It'll require him to take away time from his Torah study in order to lend the money. A person has an obligation to interrupt his Torah study and to enact the loan.
That's so interesting, because we don't even say about tzedakah that somehow you don't have to give tzedakah if you're busy learning. If someone comes, you can keep learning. Like, it just seems like usually if you're engaged in something, maybe if there's no one else to do it.
If there's no one else available. I
Maybe
mean,
that's the.
if someone if someone requires tzedakah and it's an emergency, then you sometimes you are allowed to interrupt your Torah study. It's we talk about a masholach who walks through the base medrash. There you don't have to interrupt your Torah study. But if you know a person specifically is asking you for a loan and you're in the middle of your shir, and you have this opportunity, you have to interrupt what you're doing.
Trying to remember, I thought there was something else where we say it saves you the benefit it is.
Hashavas Aveda.
Yeah.
Hashavas
Oh,
Aveda.
maybe that's what.
Yeah, Hashavas
We just
Aveda.
learned that.
Since you're engaged in one mitzvah, you're exempt from the mitzvah of giving tzedakah to an ani who comes to the door.
So we're not saying that here.
We're not saying that here.
The person who's asking for the loan is not fiscally responsible.
Oh, there's a lot of what ifs, right? There's a lot of what ifs, What if the person's never going to pay you back? Yeah. Yeah, right. So we will get there. Barabim Haim. Yeah, we just got started.
Could be a bumpy ride.
Barabim Haim Hashoalim, Heich Yitnu Kasbim Bahalva, Uvemiyuchad Bizman Shechoshishim Al Kasbim Shemalu Yashuv and Yimnoim Milahalvos. There are a lot of people who ask this question. Well, how can I take my hard-earned money and you give it out as a loan, especially when there's a concern that maybe I'll never see that money again? And it's on that basis that people don't lend money. Uve'emes da'as Rabbeinu HaChazon Ish Zatzal she'ikr schar mitzvahs halva kishemistakin b'halva. The Chazon Ish is of the opinion that the whole mitzvah is because of the fact that there's risk involved. That the reason why there's such a mitzvah is because you are taking a risk in that you may never see your money again. So obviously, there are ways to secure a loan. You can either secure a loan through collateral or you can secure a loan through a cosigner. But let's say you can't find either of those. So the Chazon Ish says, your reward for the mitzvah is even greater. Yes, I'll lend him my life savings and unsecured, right?
But said I run the 3.2 million Rothschild Society lotto. All I have to do is keep them myself.
That's right. Okay. So anyway, so Rav Sternbuch brings this as well. But of course, you have to be responsible with your funds, right? Obviously. And so we'll see how to secure a loan. There are ways to do it. Okay. Now, umin aroy shebechol ir v'ir, shchuna u'shchuna, v'chein bekoilim la'avreichim, sheyakimu keren gemach lahalvo as ksafim. It is appropriate that in every community, every city, every neighborhood, every koilel, there should be set up a fund for what's called a gemach for the purpose of giving out loans. We have two gemachs in our shul. One is a private gemach that's run by Mendel Rubinoff, that they do loans, interest-free loans for people who need it. And then we also have given money to the Toronto Jewish Free Loan Society, which is a non-sectarian Jewish organization. It's run by non-observant Jews, but it was set up decades ago, if not longer, for the purpose of giving anyone in the Jewish community an interest-free loan, which I think is beautiful. So, up until a few years ago, the Bayit didn't have a fund there. Lots of other shuls did. We didn't have one because the assumption was we'll do everything on our own. But you know what? Someone approached me and I said, of course we should do it. We should participate in it because when you're a shul, it's part of the larger Jewish community. You should be participating in these things.
Since you brought it up,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to wait if there was appropriate time, but to my mind now anyway, so because you mentioned his name. So I've worked with Mendel and a few things of helping people in the community.
Yeah.
I had a situation recently where what happened is signed for a fellow in our community here.
You acted as the co-signer?
Yeah, I acted as co-signer with a couple other guys.
Okay.
Two other guys, just three of us. So what happened is he couldn't pay back the loan, whatever. But then one of the co-signers sort of disappeared. I mean, I know how to find him, but I'm saying, it's just, laid off. So Mendel told me in all the years, he's never seen this. So now I was for the co-signer. I didn't know that I was on the hook that way. So I had to pay for the guy who, and the co-signer. I had to give him another check for the co-signer because he hasn't gotten the money from the co-signer.
Oh my
Isn't
gosh.
each person jointly and separately responsible for the whole amount?
So I didn't know that. So now when we were talking before about.
Jointly and separately, that's very good. I'm surprised, yeah.
There's more than that. If he paid the share of the other co-signers, he has a right to sue or go to Beit Din, I guess.
No, but you said we shouldn't have pressed. Remember, we shouldn't have pressed that. Should I be pressing the co-signer now?
Have you communicated with them?
Yes.
And what does he say?
Keep putting it off, putting it off. And I'm friendly with the guy. I don't want.
Well, if you're friendly with the guy, he's
Well,
taking
yeah,
he's taking advantage of your friendship, I think.
and not just me, the other guy too, who co-signed.
Yeah.
We both gave a second check because of this.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to applaud you for what you did. I mean, I think you deserve recognition for the fact that you fulfilled this mitzvah so honorably. And second of all, I think that it would be a good thing for the sake of the Gemach for you to take this guy to Beis Din. How much money are we talking about?
For his part, it was like just under $2,000.
Yeah, it's worth taking him to Beis Din. Yeah. Because a person should never act as a co-signer and then just disappear. That's wrong. That's the whole purpose of why we have co-signers.
Mendel said in 30 years he's never seen this.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't want to see it for another 30 years, there have to be repercussions to this guy.
Why don't you just send the boys after him?
That's what I said. Back in New Zealand.
No.
Back to the bike
No,
shop.
we're not. Is that what they do in New Zealand?
We know.
They take
Just stop them up and-
they take you in the back with a sheep or
No,
something?
no. Bike shop was where the price for the school was behind.
Okay,
That's Luigi and Guido last time.
okay.
When I was running my company, I had this very tall new man getting to work with me, and whenever I need to go and collect money, he came with me. I was like,
Bruno.
yeah.
All right.
His name was Tao.
Okay. Bekach roi lasot b'chol makom va'osa kein schar rav. And so you should set up a gemach, you should participate in it, and anyone does so is rewarded greatly. And that's quoting Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Okay, let's go on. So let's ask some short shelos and shuvas. Mitzvahs halva'a v'hashalas kelim. So the first shayla is Nemar in kesef talva es ami. So the Torah says, if you will lend my nation money, yesh lishol ha'im hamitzvah dafka lahalvos kesef, o shahamitzvah kolelas gam kelim ushar chafatzim shu tzarich lahem. Does that only include cash loans, or is there another? Is included in this is the biblical commandment to lend other things, like they have gemachs for every conceivable item. You open up the link, community link, and you see in the classifieds they have all different kinds of gemachs. They have crib gemachs, they have kala dress gemachs, they have shaitel gemachs, they have chair and table gemachs. Don't knock it. You should try it. They have they have all kinds of gemachs, So is this a positive mitzvah or not? So the Gemara, so he answers, mitzvahs aseh behatorah lahalvos kesef la'ani. It is a positive biblical commandment to lend cash to a poor person. Uvichlal mitzvazu lahashalo kelim, but included in that mitzvah is to also lend out utensils, chattel items, ushar chafatzim, and other things. And even to lend out food when there's no rabbinic prohibition of sa'a b'sa'a, which we will learn about. We've learned about it before. We'll revisit it. Remember, there is actually, no, I learned this with the Smichas Chaver guys. I don't think we learned this together. There can sometimes be a problem of lending out foods that have volatile indexes. because then there could be a problem of interest. Like if I lend you, fluctuation is like common, frequent fluctuations in price. So for example, if I lend you a cup of sugar, and the cup of sugar, when I lend it to you, is worth $1, and then when you give it back to me, the sugar prices have risen, so that same cup of sugar is worth $1.50, that's a rabbinical prohibition. It's not a biblical prohibition, it's a rabbinical prohibition.
Acquiring any more value of
Well,
sugar, you're not getting any.
But in a sense you are. In a sense you are, because the cash is the
The value.
Or you pay for the sugar later on, that costs you more money to buy the sugar.
that's right, that's right.
Is it like a ribis that that's?
There's a ribis issue there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll learn about that. Hold on to your hats. But once again, there is a mitzvah to lend food when you don't have the issue of sa'ah, the way I just mentioned it.
There's always inflation.
There was recently a great commercial in Israel. Did you ever see this commercial? I got to show you this commercial.
Put up on the street.
Yeah, I will put it up on the screen. Let me just get it on YouTube. Israeli commercial about juice and loans. Let me just find it.
Yes.
Here it is. This is the Israeli Haredi comedy duo Bardak. Effie Skakovsky and Meni Vostok recently produced a promotional video for a new extra fruit version of the popular Israeli fruit flavor drink, Jump. So where is it? It's here. I will share the screen so that Wayne can see it if you haven't seen it yet, Wayne.
I saw that in SCP.
Oh, you saw it in the SCP. Okay.
Yeah,
Hold on.
it's
Let me
really
just
funny.
share the sound and optimize for video viewing and share it. Okay. Everyone see it? Okay, there we go. Let me just slow it down so that, because I usually make my videos faster. Yeah, I want to know.
שלם. הבאתם לנו ג'אמפ בשבוע שעבר. שכוייך. אוי, ריביס! מה ריביס?
איזה בקבוק אנחנו הלווינו לכם?
ג'אמפ!
אנחנו הלווינו לכם את המהדורה הקודמת. אתם החזרתם לנו עכשיו את הג'אמפ החדש.
אבל זה אותו דבר, זה אותו הג'אמפ.
כן, אבל זה יותר פרי, זה ריביס.
תכלס, זה אותו הג'אמפ.
לא, אבל זה יותר פרי.
זה אותו ג'אמפ.
יותר פרי.
יותר פרי, אותו ג'אמפ. אותו ג'אמפ.
יותר פרי?
אותו ג'אמפ. אבל הרב, זה אותו הג'אמפ.
כן, אבל זה עם יותר פרי, זה ממש ריביס.
אבל זה אותו הג'אמפ.
זה יותר פרי, זה ממש ריביס.
אותו ג'אמפ.
פרשייה שמזכירה את הציבור היהודי ברחבי העולם, אותו הג'אמפ או יותר פרי, בהיכלי הישיבות והכל.
הרי אתה רואה שיש יותר פרי, איך אתה אומר לי שזה אותו דבר? ממה נפשו? הרי...
הפוך, זה בדיוק הטיינס.
איפה הטיינס?
הטיינס זה אותו דבר, זה אותו ג'אמפ.
נו, רגע, הייתי אבל...
תגיד לשטחנית שאני בכלל לא נפגש עם הצעות כאלה. כי הם יותר ניקים. אני מגיע למשפחה של אותו דבר ניקים, זה לא מתאים.
אותו הג'אמפ או יותר פרי, השאלה שהצליחה להסעיר את הציבור החרדי, הוויכוח שלא פסח על שום בית, ברחובות, במקוואות, בהיכלי הישיבות, מכל כיוון, תמיד וקשים.
הכינוס הגדול, אותו המזכה הוא יותר פרי, יתקיים במוצאי שבת בשעה 9, איש בל ידע.
אותו הג'אמפ יותר פרי, ג'אמפ אקסטרה פרוט.
תות בננה קר, הכי טעים.
הכי טעים זה תפוזים.
לא, תות בננה.
תפוזים.
תות בננה.
תפוזים.
תות בננה.
The quickest way to clear out stuck
Okay.
poop. Can't go, do this.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful.
It's great. I think that's such a Kiddush Hashem. But it also, it's a beautiful commercial, but it also makes pokes a little fun at the picayune nature of Torah study. Like the entire Haredi world, like hundreds of thousands of Jews are now that's the big shiloh. Yoter pri o oto jump. Okay. All right. So we will come back to that. Maybe we'll even watch the commercial again when we get back to this halacha. So he says, there is a mitzvah to lend all items, not just cash. Ki hakol mibidas hachesed she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu chafetz bo. Because logically, this is all part of the act of kindness that Hashem desires. Ki dirsiv ki chafetz chesed hu. As the prophet says, God desires kindness. Uvechesed kalul kol inyan she'adam yachol lehitiv bazeh l'chaviro. So the term chesed is inclusive of anything that I can do for my friend. Not just lend him cash, but provide him with other goods. Ela shahalvas mos he mitzvah gedola biyoser she'aleha yesh mitzvahs aseh miyuchedes. However, it is important to note that while you fulfill a mitzvah under the rubric of chesed, there's a specific mitzvah of lending cash. So
Well,
it's
the pasuk says in Kesef Talbeh Asami.
in kesef, yeah.
We had yesterday Artsacha, like we're very picky all the time on halacha. That this is how we darsh. This is we're just expanding this. I mean, it makes sense, but we're taking it out of context of what the pasuk says.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that he acknowledges that the specific mitzvah that you fulfill when you lend cash is in kesef talvez ami. If I lend you a lawnmower, I'm doing a chesed, but I'm not fulfilling the mitzvah of im chesed talvez ami. I'm fulfilling another general mitzvah of chesed. No, I think they're both deoraisa, but there's a specific mitzvah of that you fulfill that on top of that when you lend cash. So he quotes the Chafetz Chaim in the footnotes, who says the same thing, and he says, if a person is ever asked to lend a certain item, and who mishaker va'omer she'ein lo, and if he lies and he says he doesn't have it available, onsho shenegoyim boim alav al beso. The punishment, this is brought in Chazal, is that he'll be punished, that his house will be afflicted with leprosy, so that he'll be forced to empty all the contents of his house. And late, right? If nosis kelov mi beso, so that he'll be proven to be a liar. In other words, when the Torah in Parshas Mitzorah, when it deals with the laws of house leprosy, there's a medrash that says that this is one of the reason for this punishment, is that you'll be forced to empty out all the contents of your house, which is what the Torah holds that you have to do when your house is leprous. And so everyone will see on your lawn all of your possessions that you said you didn't have. Or let's say, there may be inappropriate things in your house, the TV that you said you don't have, or
That computer system.
Yeah, that computer system or whatever. That's right. Okay. Anyway, there's a certain schadenfreude in that, I guess. Okay, she'ela, next. Ha'im mitzvahs hatzedaka shenosein la'ani hu yoser gedola mitzvahs halva, o ma'alasam shavik shenosein la'ani beinim zet tzedaka o halva. So which is the greater mitzvah, tzedaka or halva, or loans? Are they the same, or is one greater than the other? So tshuva, the answer is as follows. Amru Chazal, gadol halmalve yoser min ha'oset tzedaka. Lending someone money is greater than giving them charity. Shezeh hanotel tzedakah kevar nitzrach lishol al hapsachim b'zeh adayin lo higia l'midah zu ve'enu bosh badavar. And the answer is because asking for a loan is not as humiliating as asking for a handout. When a person is asking for a handout, it means he really doesn't have the means to borrow money. He's so destitute that he has to ask for just an out-and-out gift. Okay, va'od. So that's argument number one. So you're helping save the person from a more humiliating experience by lending them money. Va'od kishemekayim mitzvahs halva'a umachzik yad Yisrael shelo yamut. He says, furthermore, when you fulfill the mitzvah of lending people money, you're supporting another Jew from falling into poverty. And to strengthen him so that he won't become a dependent upon the community. In other words, you're giving him his dignity of allowing him to continue to be self-sufficient instead of being a beggar.
So is it sort of viewed like you're basically giving the person a job because now they're able to act?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of like,
Fish.
yeah, give him a fish, you fed him for a day, teach him to fish, you feed him for life. But it's slightly different, but it's the same principle, is that you've helped him retain his dignity and freed him from becoming a dependent. This is, of course, the debate in Western society about the benefits and the detriments of welfare, right? So, Uvazem mekayim gamkein v'chiyamucha achicha umata yado v'hechazakta bo v'gomer v'cheyachicha imach, right? So you fulfill the mitzvah of when your friend is downtrodden and he's out on his luck, you have an obligation to strengthen him by allowing him to live with you, meaning that he's still a member of your social class. When he borrows money, he's not the schlepper. When he borrows money, he's still part of your chevra. He's living with you, right? Instead of being like down in the dumps.
Also, not an extra burden. There's a collateral. The small business that you take a night shirt, you come back in the evening.
Well, that's again retaining his dignity to make to make sure that that he's able to continue functioning while he's borrowing the money, while the loan is outstanding. Okay, so that's the next thing. Next, she'ela, is there a mitzvah to lend money to a person who is not poor? Mashalamdu Chazal de yesh mitzvah saseh lahalvos laani Yisrael shnemerim kesef talve es ami es he'ani imach. So you notice the language of the Torah is that if or when you lend money to my nation, you lending it, and it identifies who you're lending it to, the poor among you, right? So yesh lishol ha'im ha'mitzvah lahalvos dafke la'ani aval la'asher shetzarech halva in mitzvah lahalvoso o da mitzvah hu afilu ba'asher. So is the mitzvah of loans only to people who are poor, meaning that they halachically qualify as poor because they don't have the means to feed themselves? Or is there such a thing as lending money to wealthy people too? Like a guy has a business opportunity, he doesn't have liquidity to be able to take advantage of the business unless he borrows money. So is there a mitzvah to lend him money to make him liquid, even though he's not poor? He's perfectly fine. He'll have food for the next year. Okay. So what's the halacha in that situation?
Usually a guy like that can go to an institution and get a loan.
Okay. But let's say he wants to take an interest-free loan, right? Why should I go to an institution if I can get an interest-free loan?
He's taking advantage of you. Well, then you're going to lose that. Well, because he could go to the institution and now you're going to take out of your pocket, even though he's okay financially.
So he says, but I only need it for a week. So is that, can you say, well, go ahead and take a loan and pay interest on it? He says.
Or could be, he has a debt and he's not liquid. And if he doesn't pay the debt, there's a huge penalty. You're helping him out.
Yeah, you're helping him out. There are scenarios where even a person who's not poor could benefit from an interest-free loan. Okay. So
wouldn't put it on the same level as the.
So that's the question. Is it the same mitzvah or not? Stay tuned. We'll learn this tomorrow. Okay. Have a great day.